Your choice. Okay, let's see. Now we have that down. I do want to say, Deputy Judge, do you mind giving the jailer's report?
Yes, she came in, y'all, she had drug court tonight, and she just wanted to drop off her check receivables, $12,767.75, and each of you got a copy.
Yeah, look at things, see.
Now we're on to the sign-in sheet. We have quite a few people, which is wonderful. I love people when they want to, I love it when people advocate for their causes. And what we're going to do is, like it says on the agenda, you will have each person will have 3 minutes to speak. The deputy judge will be our timer. It does say with a 1-minute rebuttal. I don't want there to be, please, and I will cut you off. I don't want there to be the bickering back and forth. We can't get anywhere that way. Please know that we are listening, and the deputy judge, I know we have several folks here concerned about the animal shelter. The deputy judge and I have spoken about that. Our ears are very open. We are listening, and we certainly want the best for the animals, because I'm a huge animal lover, and we want the best for our county. So with that said, and this may not even be about, this is not about the animal shelter, but this is about road assistance. Miss Sandy, where's Miss Sandy? Oh, no. Arthur, come on up, Miss Sandy. She wants to talk about road assistance. Good evening and welcome to your courtroom.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
As you know, my name is Amy Arthur. I appreciate you all giving me the time tonight. I live up on top of Roy Lane Road. I'm sure some of you have heard of it. They go back to your heads. It's a nightmare road. But 8 of us families have chosen to live up there. And we love it up there. We are at a point, though, we can't maintain it. It is a county road. From what I understand, it's 5.6 to 5.8 miles from Beach Grove Road back to Fort Knox. The county does maintain 4/10 of a mile of the road with blacktop. We're not asking for blacktop. I don't think any of us on top of the hill will slide down the blacktop. I've been there for 22 years. I built a home up there, as well as my parents and my brother, and there was 4 other houses up there since then, and another one has come in, so there's 8 of us up there now. We've got a couple of tractors up there. My husband has one, another neighbor. We maintain it best we can, but we are just out of road here. We're just down to nothing. They try to keep it crowned, the gravel pushed to the middle. Like I said, there's 8 families up there. We collect money 1 to 2 times a year. Of course, there's some families that can't pay it every time. And there might be 5 of us that put money up, a couple $100 a piece, and in today's day and time, what you get for that is very little. What we're asking is that maybe you would consider the county doing 4 more tenths of a mile, which unfortunately is the upward part of the hill. The people up there on top of the hill are not interested in anybody maintaining the road in our homes. If my neighbors drive past my house and blow dirt everywhere, that's my problem. I can put gravel out there or the dirt can fly. We just need some assistance with the hill. It's eroding. When you go up Roy Lane Road, on the right-hand side is a hill, woods. On the left-hand side is a drop-off. Both sides are wooded. We've got erosion, and my main concern right now is the erosion in the road. It's going to be long. There's going to be a fire truck, an ambulance, windscreen, anybody like to go and get up there with a big truck because of the erosion. So I'm no engineer. I'm thinking maybe a culvert or 2 where the water goes over the road, maybe some large rock in those ditches to help with the erosion. Number 3, great rock put in, maybe worked into the road so that we can get a base. I'm not saying y'all have to take care of us forever, but if we could just get it to the point to where, you know, we could get somewhere with it, it would be a wonderful thing. It's a small road, it's 1.5 lanes. Is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
But Sandy, let me talk to Hyde, and go ahead, Joanne, on the phone.
Well, we've been up there, I've been up there a couple of times, I've got some good friends that live up there.
Yeah.
Everything that we found out about that road is it's 4/10. It was built by a gentleman that moved up there, bought that top of that hill, and he built that hill for private. And then he passed away and he started selling lots off of it. The problem with, you know, I'd probably tell you, you know, probably more than I know, just the research I've done on it is it's a private road.
With public access.
Yes, ma'am.
But yet we can't put a gate on it. We could not go to a bank and get a loan and put one of those like gates for the neighbors. So what's that make it?
Well, the gate is safety. You can't get to, you know, police up there. You can't get EMS up there. That's the problem with the gate. And I understand, I live on a private road
If they
myself.
have a code, they could, I have a lake house in a gated community that is gated and they come in and out when it's needed.
The problem with, you know, and it's not your problem, you know, it's, in my district, and you're in my district, is I probably got 40 private roads, or public roads, that's never been taken in the system. And again, that's the, you know, I don't know, the only way to fix that is, and it's a fancy word, it's memorial, what is it? We got moratorium, the court set up, you know, if, you know, in height, probably give you the numbers on it. I mean, that's probably $100,000 fix, probably easy. And once we fix that one, we've got 40 other $100,000 fixes. You know, and it's a bad situation. I tell everybody, we live in the 21st century, and we still got gravel roads, tore up gravel roads.
Well, we don't mind the gravel road, it gives us some traction going up
Right.
and coming down, but it's the erosion that I'm concerned about.
And we, yes, absolutely.
And we don't know where to go. I
Well,
mean,
the way it's set up now, and I'm just telling you what the law is now, is you have, since it's a public or it's a private road, you as homeowners or whoever's up there has to get it up to county specs. And then once you get it to county specs, by law, we're supposed to take it over.
okay, is there an inspector that would come out? We just call the road department, they come out, who is it that?
It would be Height, he would come out, he would give you the specs on how to do that. And once you got it to that point, and he would okay that, and then we would take it over.
Okay. And so you could give me like someone to contact and
Well,
someone that's
I
got
can
the
give you
proper
paperwork.
equipment?
I can give you paperwork, I don't recommend,
Okay. Because
uh,
we don't have equipment, a tractor with,
Yeah,
two
it's gonna
tractors
take,
with the greater blade and
it's
the
gonna take
greater
a high
box.
lift, and it's gonna take some measure.
Yeah.
But if you, like I said, you mentioned before, is do you have any documentation? Because there was stuff done years ago, you know.
Yeah, I've got one that says it's a county road.
If it's a
but
county,
It's
you
a
know,
county road.
if we can prove that it's a county road, it was taken into the system, if you have that paperwork, you're more welcome to get with John, if it's okay, John. And if you can prove that is a county road, absolutely it's us.
do you have city water up there?
No. At the bottom, not at the top.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, because back, you know, when a lot of people lived in the country, they didn't want people coming down the road. So they would build a nice little perfect road, and then, you know, it's their road. We're not allowed to get on it, and then all of a sudden, they pass away, they start selling lots off of it, and people, and I'm in real estate, I deal with it every day, is people start buying these lots and they do not ask, is this a county road, or is this a public road, who maintains it? And then once they get there and get settled, it's like, oh my God, you know, now.
I moved up there 22 years ago knowing that it was, we maintained the road, but everybody can't help all the time, and you don't get anything, any
Right.
for your money anymore.
No,
$200, $400 a year per family.
It's a lot less than that.
Yeah, you don't get the gravel.
And you're paying county taxes too,
Sure,
on top of that too. So
Exactly. So So,
You know,
yeah,
that's-
you feel like the people down at the bottom are getting the icing on the cake, they're getting the crumbs on the top of the hill.
But if you can find the documentation and we can prove it's a county,
I got the
absolutely.
paperwork with me today, that's the only thing I know of, everybody says it's the holy grail, but I didn't see it. And you can't put a gate across it. Okay, thank you. Thank
Thank
you for
you,
your
ma'am.
time.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you, Ms. Arthur.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead and do Gary. Mr. Bourne, you want to do, I want to skip and I'm going to say the animal shelter goes to the end.
Okay, go read it.
Good evening, Mr. Ward.
Good afternoon, thank you for this opportunity. On November the 23rd, 2016, Kentucky Utilities and Local Gas and Electric Company have filed an application with the Public Service Commission of an adjustment of electric and gas rates and charges proposed to become effective on or after January 1st, 2017. The current residential customer basic rate for electricity is $10.75 per month. The proposed basic rate will increase to $22 per month. This is the amount each residential customer paid each month, even if they didn't use electricity. That's an increase of $11.25 a month and $135 per year. The current residential customer basic rate for gas is $13.50 per month. The proposed rate increase will increase to $24 per month. This is the amount each residential customer will pay each month, even if you did not use any gas. This is an increase of $10.50 per month and $125 per year. If you are a residential customer and uses both electricity and natural gas, the yearly increase would be $160. This adjustment will not only affect residential customers, but all customers in Bullitt County and possibly in the entire state. It is my concern that if this application is approved by the Public Service Commission, that businesses will pass on these increased costs to customers. I'm asking the public, Bullitt County Fiscal Court for their help in asking the Public Service Commission not to allow these adjustments to take effect. And there goes into more detail in the Wednesday, November 30th edition of Pioneer News. So I'm just asking y'all to do whatever you can to prevent this from happening. I think the city of Louisville has already came out and they're opposed to it, and going to try to find it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Mr. Woodridge, what steps should we take if we change speeds?
If you all decide you want to do it, you would basically file in the rate increase your opposition, and it's before the Public Service Commission. I don't know when it's set to do that. You would not actually be a intervener, but you do have the right to file on behalf of your residents to objection to this without spending a large amount of money.
What's the timeline, Jerry, on that?
I called the Public Service Commission, and they don't have one. So they just said, and I do have, it's in the article, but I do have copies of the addresses for both Kentucky Utilities Company and which is basically the same as LG&E and the Public Service Commission contact number and address. But I asked, do we have like 2 months, 3 months, or whatever to oppose this? And they said right now, the lady I spoke to said they didn't have a timeline when this would be heard. So I just figured the sooner the better.
Okay. Do you want to just get with each of us? And
Sure. Be
So
glad
it
to do
doesn't,
that.
so it doesn't just, so nothing happens, at least we can talk about it.
Okay.
Do we want to, I mean, as the court, do we want to just send them a letter saying that we oppose this?
You'll have to actually wait until the rate case has been filed. And once the rate case gets filed, it will have a number and all the deadlines will be set out. And then you can be involved at that point. I believe you're pretty sure at this point.
May I say something? According to what's in the paper, it's already been filed.
Do you have a number here?
No, I don't think they give a number, but it says, notice is hereby given that in a November 23rd, 2016 application, Kentucky Utilities Company is seeking approval by the Public Service Commission of an adjustment of electric rates and charges proposed to become effective on or after January 1st, 2017. And it's the same way for the gas from LG&E. So I was under the assumption it's already been filed.
It may have been filed, but the way public service works, they will have numerous hearings and opposition. Probably this rate won't be until well after January, and then it'll be a retroactive rate where they will go back and try to see. But if you've got that, Robin, I'll look at that tomorrow, we'll see if we're updated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Just keep us up to date on the situation, Sharon.
Thank you.
Mr. Price, are you talking about planning and zoning?
No, I've got another issue.
You do, doesn't have to be animal shelter?
I can't hear back here.
Animal shelter, is it
Oh,
about
no.
the animal shelter?
No,
I mean, well, come on up, Dwayne, this is Dwayne Price. He doesn't have a copy on his paper. so
I have,
listen.
well, I have to be secret about it. I don't want anybody knowing the rest. No, my problem's small, and we start reading tonight, and we go home singing jingle bells. It's not me, my regular Christmas. My problem is, I'm one dispatch I called back in September. I was gonna let it go, but then I heard 2 more complaints. I had mine. Well, 10 o'clock at night, when I pulled into my house, there's 3 houses in the driveway, with a parking lot. So I went out, and I called 911. But the reason I've done that, in 2005, when they broke into my house and garage, they chased the guy down, and I just told him myself, when they pulled the knife on me. In 99, they stole my 4-wheel rifle, so when I pulled in my house and somebody's there like that, I get sort of suspicious, so that's the reason why. So anyway, when I called 911, told them what was going on, she wanted to ask me who it was, and went through all the formalities on who I am, what phone number is. I said, I need to get some address. Well, what do you need for? I said, well, there's 3 guys that took out the driveway, the parking lot's on, and going back up the subdivision, still out. And she wanted to know what law they were breaking. That's the part of law, and I know this is all recorded, so y'all can listen to it over at the 911. So she asked me what laws were being broken. Well, I mean, I shouldn't even have to answer a question like that. If I call you, neighborhood block watch, when they call in, do they gotta tell you what laws they're breaking? That's why we have neighborhood block watch. We don't call 911 to go through an argument with the dispatcher, to ask me questions of what law they're breaking. And when I told her, I said, well, you know, there's one law they're breaking and run through the subdivision at 10 o'clock at night, the headlights out. I said, they're menacing. I said, if we repossess, I don't want to go, I need somebody here. Well, I don't feel like any resident ought to have to explain to the dispatcher, or get priority, what's the word, if you know what it is, y'all? Set a priority what it takes for an officer to come to my house. And that's what I asked her, what's it going to take? What law do they got to violate to get some address? I mean, I said, do they got a list of, they got to shoot somebody, stab somebody? What does it take to get an officer running our way? And that's my complaint. Now, all this is going to be on the dispatch over there, and I got the date on it, I called her at the time. But I just thought it was pretty bad when I have to ask, answer to her what law they're violating at 10 o'clock at night in my driveway. Or any citizen. I mean, that's why we have block watches. I mean, if we're not going to have somebody respond to it, block watches. I mean, when they call in and they tell you there's a suspicious person in my driveway or in my neighborhood, lights out, parking lights on, and I talk to them, and instead of leaving, they want to run on back to the subdivision. But then I got to go through this argument with this dispatcher. On trying to put a priority on what my emergency is. You see what I'm saying? I don't know how to word that for y'all to understand that.
Well, it's
I don't feel like I have to have somebody strangle me just like my house is what I'm saying. And I don't feel like any citizen should have to sit there and play phone, question and answer of that nature to have an officer dispatch. And I don't think it's her. She has the authority to say who gets one and who don't get one. I thought 911 operated when you call, somebody gets dispatched. That's what I thought. I mean, I could be wrong, I don't work there, I don't know.
Did they ever send anybody out there?
Well, I talked to Doug Pope yesterday, he went down. I talked to the chief, but what happened, he said, no, this can't be. I guess he got to take on whatever he reported on. But Doug said they did dispatch, after that. But anyway, even though they did, I'm going forward with dispatch. Why I got to have 15 minutes of this argument with this lady on the telephone, give her a reason why I think I'll have an officer dispatch to my house. That's what I'm saying. I mean, after everything I done went through, done been 2 break-ins at my house. You know, and what else do I have to go through? That's what I'm saying. And like I said, I'm not gonna say anything, that just happened in September.
Oh,
But
it
then,
happened in September.
yeah, now I got, I brought a case, I wanted to go over and pull a tape yourself and look at it.
You talking about Phillips?
I didn't hear you.
You talking Mr. Phillips?
No, I don't even know who he is. I wasn't gonna say anything, but, I've heard 2 more complaints since then, about my same way, and they said, we talked down there and we got it. And they won't know exactly what they were doing wrong. I don't see why I have to ask that question.
You have the thing up there.
It happened at, on September 18th, when the chief wrote me back, he texted me back, he said, my call was received with dispatch at 10:14 on September 18th. So if you got a date, you got the time, we pull the recording, you can hear the disagreement with me and her. That's what's going down there. Like I said, I'm not gonna say nothing, I don't wanna bother y'all with it, I don't know who you said. Joe, you said. I mean, if I did, I wouldn't want that way. But then, like I said yesterday, I heard the same thing again. I just feel like I feel, I a little off. It's just not right if we have neighborhood block watches to call in to 911 and have to go through 20 minutes of arguing someone on the phone while we feel like we need officers sent out there to our. We don't need block watches if we don't have support.
That officer needs, just as soon as they get that call, that officer should be dispatched right then.
Well, that's what the chief told me. The chief told me, I don't know how much work, you probably know, you're an officer, that when a citizen calls in, they don't get priority. Let's work, let's make it a word here. Priority. Yeah, in other words, you don't have to meet a circuit before we decide to send somebody out. And what she did say, we're here on tape. Well, we're covered up tonight, we're off the business tonight. Well, what does it take? Well, I mean, do you see what I'm saying, I'm coming from here?
Right, I mean, it's, and I'm not, I don't know the person, I don't know what goes on with it. I know there is a certain criteria that they have to ask, just to make sure. But when you say there's 3 men standing in my driveway that I don't know, that's trespassing, that should be dispatched. To me, should be. Now, if somebody calls and says, my tire's flat, I need a sheriff's out here to fix it, that's a different story.
Yeah,
But when you say there's 3 people in my driveway, you should get dispatched right there.
so, I mean, I don't know how to go on the rules, regulations, I don't train. I know how to like I do. I just felt like I was done wrong, so I'm saying. I don't know if I was done wrong. And the citizens that I talked to yesterday, and it keeps coming to me, the block watch. Well, what happens if we can't get the block watch? Well, I'm saying, I know they're covered up, they get busy, I know that. But to have a number, in other words, a certain law will be broken before she feels like it's okay, it's kind of sends them out there. But like I said, the last time I called, I wound up calling, this is at 2 o'clock in the morning, breaking into my house. Calling, chasing them down the driveway, down my ditch, up to the neighbor's yard, tackling them, get a rifle on me, and then they show up. But, this shouldn't have to be, we shouldn't have to defend our homes that way. And then when you call and you get that response, that makes it even worse, But anyway, I
Thank
want to
you,
say
Mr.
that.
Price, you will be getting a phone call from
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Willie.
the deputy judge.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Moving on, let's have Miss Angela Greenup. This is Miss Angela here. Good evening, Angela. And Angela, it's your time, what do you have to show?
Well, I have some questions pretty much for all of you all. There are dogs and cats that are leaving the shelter adopted, and they are leaving not spayed or neutered or vaccine, having vaccine. In your all's, on the Fiscal Court website, it says that all dogs that are adoptable will be spayed and neutered and vaccinated with the cost of the adoption fee. And this is not being done. So these cats are leaving here, and I know that they are provided, from what I've been told, with a voucher, and they have to show proof of a rabies, that they go on pay for come in and pick up the dog. You all know as well as I do, people do not follow through with this. Yes, they'll go pay $15 for rabies, and they won't go get it. And we are not helping the pet population by sending these pets out of the shelter unspayed or neutered. We are no better than the general public, okay? The second thing is there have been sick and injured dogs in the shelter that have not been seen by vets until it is brought to the staff's attention. They are sitting in the shelter injured, and then 4 days later, that I know of one pet sat in the shelter for 4 days, had a broken leg, was taken to the vet on the 4th day, and it was taken care of. It needed a plate and pin put in its leg. There was a pet that was in there that was obviously sick. I made a call to a local rescue group, and they have picked up the pet and got it seen by a vet. If the staff is not educated enough to see when a sick or injured animal, especially a dog or cat that has been hit by a vehicle, that is obviously, we tell anybody, your pet needs to be seen by a vet. And if they cannot see that, then there needs to be new employees that know what they're looking for. Anytime you address the shelter about anything, they always talk about their budget. And I know that there are many grants out there that they can apply for, and they're simple. I spent 30 minutes at work today, and I found 6. It's something simple. It's something that someone that can read and write can fill out. And they are there, and I think that that needs to be implemented. I was down there on Saturday, and I noticed that there was pets that did not have beds, and that's unacceptable. They need to have proper bedding. It was clean. I will give them that, but I asked why this pet did not have a bed, and he said because he was defecating on it, and they took it away from him. Now, if your child is urinating or defecating in the bed, are you going to take that child out of that bed and not give them a bed to lay in? No. So, with that said, I think that there needs to be some things highly looked at the shelter. I don't know the answer to it. I gave him some good advice on, grants and maybe educating the staff a little better. There's only one volunteer that I know of that's down there, and it's sad. I've known other people who used to volunteer there in the past and no longer do it for reasons. And they're not here to speak on that, but we need to relook at what's going on down there, and I'd be more than happy to sit with anyone and help them with these decisions.
Any questions for Ms. Freeman?
I just wondering, would you be willing to volunteer if I was up there?
Well, I would if I didn't work 12 to 13 hours a day. I am office manager at a company, and I'm actually a board and pet crematory. And I am your office manager.
At board
and pet crematory, yes, ma'am. And I would love to. I can do Saturdays, but I've been told that if there's only one female, and one male, that it can't happen. So, until then,
Maybe find you a partner where you can work on Saturday.
exactly.
Why is that though? I'm sorry, I have questions.
We have to stay in order. We can't get anything accomplished if we cannot speak.
So we can't ask questions about something?
No, we need to stay focused, and if we really want to accomplish things, we have to do this in a big, diplomatic manner and be able to hear each other.
And in your, you have this website that, nicely says that y'all are for the animals, but, want to provide them with a safe and comforting place, but, people see this.
Do you live in Bullitt County?
Yes, I live in Hillview.
That's one of the shade.
Yeah, Hillview.
Well, I'll let the managers ask questions.
Did you give her your telephone number and everything?
Yes.
If we found two people
I've
that
got
are,
it.
she's got your number?
Mhm.
Okay.
Do you want it, Dennis?
No, I just want to have it in the office there.
It's right here.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think we need to go ahead and solve the website not being updated. And how would the court like to proceed with that?
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Why can't the adoption fee, why does it need to be changed? Why can't y'all stick to the standards of what it says? That all pets that leave the shelter, why can't you just enforce that to really happen? About the spay and neuter, I know you're saying about the website needs to be updated. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm just saying, can you all enforce that, you know, the spay and neuter? Because I have given Mark the number to Karen, who is with the SNP clinic, and she told him that she would tell him what grant to write, and that she would be more than willing to help get those pets spayed and neutered out of Bullitt County. But he would have to do the part, because see, that's what they work on, is on a grant. The SNP clinic works on a grant. And that's how they do all these pets for free. And she was willing to give him all the information that he would need to, but maybe I should have called you first. I can call you your number.
Well, we need to work together, and I really appreciate what you said, Ms. Rita. And you've said it professionally, it's understandable, it's simple, things that can be fixed.
Right.
And we just need to work with the staff over there at the shelter and get it accomplished.
So giving the voucher just the easy way out then, right?
Right.
Get
Yeah,
the
no, I
voucher.
didn't buy
We're not
those.
giving the voucher pays for that. Yeah, if they do
No,
that.
we can't, yeah, we can't all speak at one time, you all. Go ahead, Angela.
Yeah, I mean, the voucher isn't the question. You can get vouchers all day long. People go home and throw them away. Especially if they go and get these pretty little pit bulls out here, they can make $50 off the puppies. I mean, that's the problem, is if you don't do it within your system,
Then get some-
you're just adding to the problem.
So what you're saying is we need a spay and neuter
Before they're
Facility.
adopted,
facility at,
yes. Like, I have an idea, because you have that nice trailer there, I mean, that trailer's not in shabby condition, is to maybe see if you all can get a vet that can come in and do your spay and neuter and your euthanasia, and contract that out. And then that way, you know, you can say, you know, all right, you can come pick, we're gonna spay Buddy on Wednesday, and so you can pick him up at such and such time Wednesday afternoon and take him home. And he'll be vaccinated and everything.
Well, you're welcome. Well, I think we need to really work on that. I think that is something that we've got to do, is get these animals spayed and neutered before they
And vaccinated.
are adopted, and vaccinated before they leave the shelter. So, Court, are you willing to spend the funds that need to be spent and have the director accomplish these tasks? Vaccinated and spay and neuter before they're adopted.
Or not, or like that.
I think we need to look into it and see what we need to do. That's what our website says. Isn't it?
I got it right here.
Well, I don't want us to have this conversation tonight and 6 months down the road, we're still in the same situation.
No, I was just gonna say that we had conversations this week about these same things. We've all been kind of involved in this. I know a couple of folks before. We actually had meetings with the Humane Society this week. And to his credit, Mark is the one that called and made inquiries to the Kentucky Humane Society. And we're trying to address a lot of these things as they come up. I think if we can find, we can work with Mark here, if we can find vets that would do this pro bono, that type of thing, those are the things that we have to try to deal with. So we are moving in that direction, just based on the conversations we've had this week.
Go ahead, Angela.
And also, the Kentucky Humane Society, they will come in and assist, and, they don't take it away from the county, but they can step in and kind of help take over the
And
shelter.
those are the decisions. We've already started that conversation. There are certain things they will do and won't do. We have to have, I'll just go ahead and say it's a private-public partnership.
Right.
We can find the private side of it, which we might have, in fact, we're working on that to try to solve it. It's not going to happen overnight.
No, it's been going on for.
The judge's office and Mark called the Humane Society, we talked about this a couple of months ago, to try to move forward with this, and that's the direction. And the things that you're talking about is the direction that we're trying to get to. How we get there, we're not sure yet. How long it takes, we're not sure yet, but we are moving in that direction. Is that fair?
But we should have started a spay neuter program 10 years. Never mind that. I've been here for 10 years and we still haven't done it. But it takes the fiscal court to move it along. So I'm all for it. I'm all for getting these animals spayed or neutered before they will adopt it out. I'm just one vote.
And that was originally why that trailer was left there. That was supposed to have been looked into months and months ago for grants for that, but that was why that the court decided to leave that trailer there, was to put a spay and neuter clinic in it.
Hope for Pets offered to do that. Okay.
Hold on, back there. We want something else. Well, those of you, I want to let everyone speak, because this is very, very important to me, and I want to see the problem solved. I don't want to keep talking about them year after year after year. Again, I've been here for 10 years. We don't even have a spay neuter program. I'm just one vote. I can't spend one penny. I can't spend one penny, which I'm glad, of taxpayers' dollar without having, see the 5 of us up here? Out of the 5 of us, 3, we have to have 3 to pass something. So, folks, I'm with you.
Take a vote.
Take a vote.
Yeah. Or we can, but I want to see it done.
Right.
This has been too long. Our county is too big to keep moving in this direction that we're moving in. So, is that what y'all want? I mean, what if they say no?
Can we wait until after everybody speaks, then y'all think about that?
That sounds like.
Yeah, let's make talk.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Okay, well, let's focus on, we got great ideas here from Angela, we want to let you all speak. We want them vaccinated and we want them spayed or neutered before they leave the shelter. There's no reason why that cannot happen, you all. The money is there, but we want to have someone to lead. Also, I wrote down everything Angela said before we move on. The sick and injured dogs in the shelter
Yes, okay.
must be taken to a vet. They don't need to be sitting there. And the grants. There are lots of grants out there. And the beds for the pets. Like you said, if they're dedicating, then wash the beds all the time back in there. There needs to be leadership, and we can do this, you all. We can do this by working together. Let's do, Rocky, I'll put you to the side for a few minutes. Sherry, you want to come on and speak? Good evening, Sherry. Now, Sherry, if you can, say something different from what Angela has.
Yeah.
I'm going to write it down.
So the one is already addressed about the pit bull with the broken leg. So I won't talk about it. Speak up, please.
It's been mentioned.
Yeah. I'm Sherry Winter. I'm really the only full-time volunteer Bullitt County Animal Shelter has. I spoke to several of you, Gary Lawson, I spoke to you, Mr. Mitchell. So on 11/4, that's when I issued the charge with Mark Williams at the shelter, the director. He got into a verbal argument with me in front of my child. The issue was addressed the next Monday with Judge Roberts and CFO Keith Griffey, and sit down with Tony Wilson and came up with a volunteer agreement on it. And the agreement was that I could volunteer there as long as there was 2 employees or I had another volunteer with me. That was the agreement. I was okay with that. So I started planning to have somebody volunteer with me on the Saturdays, and then during the week, y'all had hired a new guy named John Rayleigh, so it was okay for me to volunteer there. Since then, Mark makes it a point to take John with him when I volunteer, and he'll take him on runs with him. Why he has to go with him at every run, I have no clue. But what does that do? That takes me away from walking the dogs, interacting with the dogs, helping with the cats, things like that, because I have to leave, because I'm left there with 1 employee. He does this every time. I've asked him several times, why do you do this? He says, well, you can't be there by yourself with 1 employee. And why are you taking another one with you? Do you really have to have a sidekick with you every time you leave the shelter? You're going on runs, you're gone for hours, you're not coming back with maybe 1 dog, sometimes none. So I don't understand what the issue is, why you have to take them. I've witnessed Mark Buddy, who was a black lab. He's been there a really long time. I actually got him adopted out yesterday. Took him to his new home. And Friday when I was there, I witnessed Mark kick him into his kennel. Kicked him in his back, hind legs. He was tender and sore. I took him to the vet. I adopted him out. Took him to the vet. Had him seen. They stated that, he did have sore joints back there. I actually got bit because I forgot and I went to grab, and that was a no-no. I'm okay with it. I should have grabbed, thought I was going to hurt him, thought I was going to abuse him. I did call Mark about it. I was upset. The issue was taken care of. It kind of frustrates me because it's supposed to be for the animals. And if you have a director that's coming in there and abusing the animals, or is not taking them to be seen, another dog was Sally. She came in there. She had just had puppies. She's still there, and I had to do a lot of begging to get Mark to take her to the vet to make sure that she wasn't getting an infection from her holding so much milk. And she had literally been picked up within hours of her having puppies. She was still bleeding. It was that bad. And she was picked up on a Thursday and was not taken to the vet till the next Monday. So she's sat in that shelter that whole time and not been seen. There's a dog there that was brought up. There's another dog that was sick there. Cats having upper respiratory infections. My cousin actually adopted a cat out of there. It's a black cat. Adopted out, had a severe upper respiratory infection, and the cat just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Cat actually got euthanized this past week because it was just too bad. It wasn't recovering because it was that sick. There's medicines there. It's underneath in the cabinet. I've physically seen it myself. It's called lysine. You put it in the food, it helps build the immune system of the cats. Won't let me put it in there. There's flea medicine there for cats, for dogs. Won't let me put it on. There's deworming there. I have to beg to let them deworm the dogs. I'm taking them outside. I'm watching them too. If I see the worms in it, it's tapeworms from the fleas. I have to beg to get them to actually give these dogs medicine. It's to the point that it makes me not want to volunteer anymore, because what's the point in me keep trying if all Mark's going to do is just keep slapping me in the face and making me feel like I'm wrong for me trying to help these animals and get them out. And he's pushing away volunteers.
Let me ask you, and don't lose your train of thought. Did you ask Director Williams why he wouldn't let you apply to flea medicine? And what was the other marriage? You mentioned 2 other marriages.
Deworming medicine.
Did you happen to ask him why?
They said they would do it, but they never did it.
How do you know they didn't do it?
When I come back in and the dogs are still infested with fleas and the medicine hasn't been opened, I counted them. I know how many boxes of flea medicine they had. They weren't open, they weren't used. I made it a point to count them, just to see if he would tell me the truth. He's not being truthful about it.
Go ahead, I didn't want to ask that question.
So I bought him a foster for one of the dogs named Marley. We actually adopted him out and we're gonna privately adopt him out. Took him from the Bullitt County Animal Shelter. And I found a foster, and he made a big old ordeal with me about me helping find fosters, and he said that he's actually gonna do away with the agreement. He's one of the county attorneys to get rid of the foster agreement so that these dogs can get out and get neutered. And saying that we can't get sponsorship for it, but that's ridiculous. And that we're not being, what was the word? We're not being responsible by us neutering the animals and spaying them. I'm cutting down the population. How am I being irresponsible? I think that's pretty responsible of me if I can get sponsorship to help get these animals fixed.
Go back to the fostering, so Director Wiggins is wanting to
Void it.
stop
He
the
wants to void it.
fostering program.
Oh yeah, he wants to void it. He wants it done.
And he said he has given paperwork to Mr. Woolridge.
So the county attorney, he was gonna come to you about it on
Do you know
Friday.
anything, Mr. Woolridge, concerning
I
this?
haven't spoke with him.
Okay. So he told me Friday was gonna come before he made me leave because he had to take John to come on the run.
You know, I understand that all's going on, but, you know, he's not here to defend himself.
I wish he was.
You know, I'm just saying, I don't know what's true, what's not true. It's his work, you know, just to let the court know is, I'd like to have somebody defend themselves.
Yeah, but when you do talk to him, please call me back in because he does a lot of saying one thing to one person, saying something to the other person. And I caught him doing that firsthand with Judge Roberts on Friday. And that, to me, isn't right. Like, if you're gonna be in your position and you're gonna say something, keep your word on what you said. Don't back out of it because now you're put in a position where you might get in trouble for what you said. So, and I think that the freezer really needs to be looked at because there's supposedly not been no euthanization since September. They've made mention that that freezer is full. And that was mentioned by him. So I really think that maybe you all should go out and look at that freezer. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. That wasn't already talked about.
And Baxter, he was made aware of these issues while she was the night.
I don't know where I was at. He knew I was at. Oh, yeah, he knew I was at.
I spoke with him and let him know that folks were coming, and he said he had a doctor's appointment. So, the folks, we gotta get to the bottom of this. Here, thanks for shaking here. We gotta get to the bottom of everything. We really, sure, anything else? And I may ask you to come back here, I can be here to do this.
And I'm actually, I want to make a little known to y'all too. I'm actually going to back down from volunteering until there is a change made.
So there's what?
So there's a change made. Because
That's what's helping the
so
animals.
many animals out of that shelter, and anybody can vouch for it. Since I started volunteering there, me and several other people have got so many animals out of that shelter, it's unreal. And they're all fixed, every last one of them. And that didn't come out of his pocket at one. So, but I can't continue to go to shelter and watch some man abuse an animal. I just can't do that. And it's abuse when you're neglecting them by their medical needs. And you're kicking them. You're spraying kennels out with dogs in it because you're afraid they're gonna bite you. It's abuse. And I'm not gonna sit back and watch it. And with me coming in there, I feel like I'm adding, like I'm saying that's okay, and it's not okay with me. So, that's all.
Thank you, Sherry. Now, these are the issues that I have written down that Sherry has spoken of. There was a verbal argument between her and Mark Williams, and her children heard that. Let's see, that a volunteer agreement would be established, and it was a verbal, and that did start. We also want to continue on with a volunteer agreement that I think, where is it now, Mr. Green? Do we have it in my office or just?
I think John
It was
changed.
redone several weeks ago.
Yeah, it's changed. There were some things changed. It's ready to go. Get passed. Get passed. And there is a volunteer agreement.
We did.
Yeah.
It was
We
like
did,
this.
all right. Okay. And it consisted of the training.
Yeah, we had the
Volunteers.
different, yeah, the hours.
It did, all right.
Yeah, the 9 to 12.
Sure,
9 to
it's out
12,
there.
Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Saturday, it's 10 to 2 for volunteers.
Yeah, I think we have it. That's a plus.
It is a place, that is.
Yeah, I think the
I
hours
think
changed.
the hours changed.
Did it?
Yeah, because the 9 to 12 was, I think we didn't put the hours, I think it was 9 or 10 to 4. I'll check, I'll get you a copy of it, we did change those hours.
I know they really like us coming in at 9, like me coming in at 9, because I can help out with the cat room.
It may, the 9 o'clock may not have changed, but we extended the 12, we just didn't feel like 9 to 12 was enough, because some volunteers couldn't come till the afternoon, so we didn't limit it to.
Okay. The age on it?
Okay, yeah, now I'm gonna finish with what Sherry said. Director Williams takes either John or Tony on runs, so one volunteer can't work because of that, having 2 employees there and a volunteer. Buddy, a dog, was kicked by Director Williams, according to Sherry, and then Buddy ended up biting Sherry. A dog that had just had puppies was there with no vet service. Director Williams won't let Sherry apply flea meds, deworming, etc., other meds. And Director Williams wants to stop the fostering program, and the freezer is full.
And that's the comment that he made that I overheard I walked in on. And he had told Tony to remind him to call Borden's because the freezer was full. Can I address another dog?
Sure.
So Jessie, well, some of y'all know I adopted a beagle, and her name was Jessie. I actually brought her in here to court, I know you were here, Mr. Rahil, and I think you were here, Mr. Wilson, and I don't know if you were here, Mr. Mitchell. I don't know, but I actually brought Jessie in here to court. So when I adopted her, she just looked like she was like a healthy dog. So 2 weeks after adopting her, I found out that she was pregnant. And since then, she's had puppies. She had 10 puppies. Of the 10, only 4 lived. She had bred with a Doberman mix at first, what they thought. Then they said a Rottweiler lab mix. And only 4 survived because they were so big. And she actually had to have emergency C-section to remove 1 because it took up the whole left side of her. And it makes mention back to the spay and neuter. If they had spayed her when she was in there, my dog wouldn't have had to go through as much pain as she did from that, from having to be on antibiotics because they felt like she was septic. And a vet bill that was outrageous that I had to get help with from a local rescue to help me cover the bill because they weren't going to help me. Bullitt County wasn't going to help me with this animal, even though they adopted out a dog that was pregnant. So.
How about that? Okay. Thanks, Sherry. Let's see. Kaylin Daughtery. Oh, there she is. Good evening, Kaylin. How are you? Good job.
I'm Kevin Hardy. I just became a foster dog mom on the 4th of November. I fostered Marley, which was a pit bull mix. When I got him, I signed an agreement that I would take care of him, they would do home inspections randomly, et cetera, et cetera. I was fine with that. I told Mark he could come by anytime. He could call me just to make sure I was there. So he didn't come out of his way. He said that was fine. I filled out when I was going to fill out the application, he said he had not received, the agreement from, I guess, the fax.
I haven't received what, and I wanted to.
He hadn't received the actual foster agreement. I guess that you had said we could foster or whatever from your office. He didn't have a copy.
Everything I had was a volunteer agreement.
Okay, he didn't have a copy.
of the foster agreement.
Right. And Sherry, told him to check his email because they sent it to his email as well. He then told us that he immediately got defensive with her, Sherry, and started yelling at her in front of her daughter. He didn't understand why Judge Roberts allowed the foster program, and it wasn't the best idea for these animals. Sherry then said it was helping him get the animals that had been there the longest out, so they didn't have to be euthanized. He kept raising his voice and said, well, if Melanie Roberts doesn't like the way I run the shelter, she can come here and run it herself. His words exactly. Finally, after the back and forth for about 10 minutes, he printed out the foster application for me to sign it. Then he told me that Marley didn't need to be in a home. He was dangerous and aggressive. I told him I'd fostered many dogs before and I'd take my chance. At the end of November, I went to the shelter. What they told me is that he couldn't be around other dogs or kids. He is around about 6 kids, neighborhood kids, and my own, with no aggression whatsoever. And I also have 2 other fosters from a different organization that I brought in, and he's perfectly fine as well. At the end of November, I went to the shelter to ask if they had any coupons for dog food or if they supplied their fosters with any. Just asking, I know some organizations do. He said no, they didn't. They asked what dog I had. They didn't even remember me. I replied I had Marley. Tony then said, oh, I've been getting emails about him. And I said, okay, you haven't called me, because I told them anytime they received a phone call or an email, I would bring Marley up to have a potential doctor look at him. He said, well, can you bring him up here and if we call? And I said, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I gave him my number once again from what was on my foster application. And he just kind of dropped it at that. On December 2nd, I went to the shelter asking to adopt Marley, because I've been fostering almost a month. I wasn't getting phone calls and emails about him or anything like that, so I figured maybe it's miscommunication. So I adopted him out. He asked if I had the papers where he received his rabies shots. I showed him those, and I said that I had to call the vet so they could fax over his papers where I got him neutered at Dr. Stein's office. He then yelled at me and told me I was not supposed to do that. Sherry then told him she had talked to Judge Roberts about it. He kept raising his voice at us and telling us how wrong it was, then pulled out a contract and started going over it. He pulled out the wrong contract, because in my contract it says nowhere in it that I cannot neuter or spay a dog. It says I cannot change the foster caregiver agrees not to alter in any way the appearance of the dog. I would take that as ears, bob tail, anything like that. So I got him neutered. I showed him the neuter papers. I didn't ask him for a dime of that. The way he's talking to the public, it's not how you talk to somebody. I work with the public all day. You don't raise your voice and yell at somebody that's helping your cause out and what you're there for. That's my concern. No way harm did any to this animal. Like, I had all the papers, I took it to the vet, showed where we paid for it, showed the rabies shot. If I'm going to continue bringing fosters in my house, I'm going to be treated with respect. He shouldn't come at me or volunteers for what he does. And he had never, he only met me twice. So I'm just concerned with he's really best interest of the animals. Because Marley's a pit bull and males are used for fighting. So if a breeder or a dog fighter came in there, they would have paid $50 and made so much money off of them.
Any questions, Caitlin? Caitlin, I've got that you did foster Marley, and, Director Williams and I have a copy of the foster agreement, or am I correct?
Yeah, he pulled out a foster agreement, but it wasn't the same one I had, because it doesn't say that I can't do or stay.
Okay, all right. No, you're right, Caitlin. I think there needs to be some organization going on as far as who's got what documents and.
Do you want to see my foster agreement?
Yeah, let's, we'll give it to deputy judge, to the deputy judge. Please, thank you, Caitlin. Thank you very much, Caitlin. Anything else? Okay. Well, I know we're not finished yet. I so appreciate the list and being direct and saying it's X, Y, or Z. I really appreciate that, y'all. Okay, we've got, Terry, Mr. Terry Buchanan. Good evening, Terry.
Hello.
Will be something a little different from what these ladies have said.
They have touched on pretty much my entire list,
Okay.
with the exception of a couple of items.
New things.
Yeah, and I've talked to all of you guys, with the exception of Mr. Laswell, and you know, it was you to check or what, but, so it's no secret, my feelings toward Mark. I'll be quite honest with you, he's my favorite person, and I'm not his. But my personal feelings aside, I had the opportunity to volunteer out there on Thanksgiving weekend on that Saturday. And I will say that the shelter is a very, very nice shelter, but it needs a different direction. Whether it be Mark or whoever, Jim Miller, whoever, that somebody needs to be held accountable in that position, and there's just no accountability. Like, whoever's out there on a power trip, I could have went in there and done whatever, and it would not be recorded anywhere. One of you fellows told me that there was cameras out there that were being repaired. Well, John out there that day said, we have one camera, it's out here at the driveway, and it don't work. We put cameras in the work, and I can go on my phone and look and see what's going on in my buildings at any given time. I really think that's a lot of investment, it's not that much. I mean, I have all the, if you all want to call me tomorrow, I will bring those pictures home and show you how much those cameras cost. We know, even though you nowhere near the ones we had in our buildings. My other concern is, and I think you all touched on this too, the networking with the animals, that they need to be out there more. They need more exposure. I feel like there needs to be, are there 8 cities within the county?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I personally feel like that within those 8 cities, we could find one council member or one person to be involved from each city to sit on an advisory board and volunteer their time. It wouldn't cost the county a cent. And not to be his boss, but to give him ideas and make him accountable to somebody. I mean, I know you guys, I don't know if you guys all have other jobs or what, but maybe you don't have time to go out there. But between the 4 of you, it looks like you can make, I mean, you can go Tuesday, you can go Monday, you know, you can go one day a week, it looks like. And then the other days of the week, maybe somebody on the advisory board could go. Something free that we could, that could be set up. I'm sure, you know, we have lots of volunteers. And Sherry, I want to thank you for all you've done to get those families out. You've done a wonderful job. And I think it's time to not go back. Organizing the adoption events. I think there's plenty of volunteers that can step in, and we have our buildings over there that if that was supposed to in it, to bring some of those animals out. Our pickup trucks, not the city, Mom doesn't appreciate me doing anything on city time. And because of talk over all that, and it's rightful owner for them, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. My personal feelings for Mark, I can deal with Mark. I want what's best for the animals. And I know I'll bring you all that email, but
Any questions? That's it.
yeah, that's because they, they're not.
They have to know, great job. Any questions for Terry?
Terry has a question on the purchase paper.
Well, yeah, the reason for the two people, having to be there, the volunteers. If there were cameras in there, there'd be no reason for the, because everybody could see what's going on. When I was there that day, there's a hallway, and there's a restroom. Well, you could put that, I mean, I'm not gonna put it in the restroom, but it could go, you could see who was going in there. If one or two people were going in there, I mean, I don't know what the big deal is. But having just two people there, I don't understand that. Oh, and the beds, in that last email I sent to you guys. Most of the dogs had beds, but some didn't, and I was told the same thing because they were making messes on their beds. But they have plenty of beds that they can use. I saw them. They're stacked up in the back. They have tons and tons of blankets, tons and tons of dishes. The other lady that went with me, she did the laundry, and I did the dishes. That they have everything they need. They just need somebody to take care of it. And to put it to use, there was a kitten, a little black kitten in a cage, and he didn't have a bed. He had a bed box, and you don't get in those wire cages. I said, John, can I put a bed in there for that kitten? Yeah, you can. He said, that'd be all right. I had to move him because they were fighting. It takes 2 seconds to walk up there to the washer and get a bed and put in there for that little kid. And it was a little chilly in there. I mean, I know not all of them are like mine. You have live like royalty, but it was a little cool in that cat room. Those cats don't have. Yes. Yeah, and it wasn't really cold that day.
Any questions for Terry?
Thank you.
Terry, what I got is, you can say, you volunteered on Thanksgiving, during the Thanksgiving holidays, and the shelter, go ahead.
I was telling her that Tractor Supply in Hillview, they have a vet that comes out and they want more people to come out and set up. And, of course, all animals have to be vaccinated, before they can be out in the public. But they are wanting people to come set up there and bring adoptable pets up there on, I think it's Saturday and Sundays. So that would be a great place to start.
Terry, you said that you volunteered during the Thanksgiving holiday and found the shelter to be very, very clean. Director Williams and you all have mutual feelings. Can you suggest cameras so that the volunteers won't have to, so we don't have to just rely on one staff person being there to have a volunteer? Director, let's say this, that the folks at the shelter, the staff at the shelter needs to be held accountable. And it's pretty cool in the cat room.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is that it, Terry? Is that for the most part?
Yep, it's.
Thank you. Pam Frisk, and is it Marcia Robertson? Marcia, sorry, Marcia. Pam and Marcia, good evening, ladies, and welcome. Yeah, go ahead. Are you all with Shamrock? Yes, okay. Well, great to see you. We're glad you're here. Thank you. And I'm all right now. What you say, whether it be negative or positive. Okay. So, you make the right decision.
This is Mrs. Frisk.
Okay.
South Robinson. Okay. They're both with Shamrock Foundation. Pam is currently a sitting board member. And we break down from there into two separate entities. Cat and dog. We are both currently dog, which encompasses rescue, foster, adoption, medical, just you name it, we do it. Contracts, everything. I guess I don't have bad to say. I'm fairly indifferent. We have and have had for 20-plus years a long-standing relationship with the shelter out here. Is it what it used to be? No. Is it where it needs to be? Nobody disputes that. Is it moving towards that? Looking back from where we have been for 20 years, it's moving well forward. We're beyond the days of shooting and drowning. Now we're moving forward. But it does not happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without funding. And I know, relative to grant writing, I absolutely think grants are a necessity. You need a dedicated grant person. I don't think a director of a shelter, it doesn't happen at Metro, it doesn't happen at other shelters, and we work with a lot of them. They have dedicated grant folks. They don't work on the budgets that Mark is currently working on. We could not exist on the budget that Mark is working on, because a lot of the cases that, Angie, I know, the others, I don't. I know we funded those issues. We do a lot of spending there out here. We do absolutely everything we can. We do it on case-by-case scenarios. We've had a lot of conversation over the last probably 2 and 3 days over our personal protocol procedures and vetting procedures. And by vetting, I don't mean medical. Our applications, our documentation, it's all extremely thorough with us, but our fostering as well. And we have made the offer to, after the first of the year, we're trying to, we're pretty covered up and flooded, to assist with, let's just say, training and how to, with volunteers and whatnot. Now, personally, in Mark's situation, some of that, that's the nature of society right now. Nobody wants to be in a room alone with the opposite sex. We all know that is harassment waiting to happen. So those things just don't, that doesn't occur anymore. All we're here to say is to speak with our relationship with Mark and Bullitt County Shelter. We have a functioning, working relationship. We received a letter from you probably 6 months ago. Thank you for assisting in what we do here in your community. Is that one enough to suffice for a growing? No, it's not. That's a very tiny place. Do you need spay and neuter? No question. Do you need to waive fees and let dogs go out for small numbers? You can't get them spayed and neutered like that unless we're doing them, and a lot of those are what we're doing. So if they go out and then they come to us and will you, and then we're doing the medical, we're doing the what, all of it, the vaccinations, a lot of it. Now, personally, we have commitments with, we have very good working relationships with some vets around this county. But, is there room for improvement? There is no question. Is he hopeful for help? It may be the way we approach it. We are happy to help when and where we can, as much as we can, but we can't do it all. We have to start within our circle and work our way out to the outline, and that's what we are. Now, I will tell you that in every circumstance, when we have asked Mark, will you please take this to whatever, vet? Yes, ma'am. Never once does he turn us down, and we get medical attention for whatever it is we know about. If we don't know about it, we can't do it. Are we gonna do it all? No. But we certainly, do a lot. And the vouchers, there's no guarantee once. Now that trailer, I've seen the trailer, because I'm out there too, and the trailer is nice. But now that is a separate thing, and that is grants. And you need somebody, does the court system not have a grant writer?
No, we do not.
Okay, you don't know the grant writer. Grant writing is not as easy as filling out a form in ABC 123. We have lawyers that write grants, and that's kind of what that would be required. But that could be retrofitted into a very nice facility. And you do a quarterly adoption or a quarterly vaccination and come to that facility, and vaccinations yearly are X amount of dollars, like Bullitt Metro would do. But now, I don't know the children's age, but Metro, if you volunteered in Metro, your children would not be there. If you volunteered in Metro, they would never be anywhere around a dog or a cat.
It's a liability.
Yes, it's a huge liability. It's a tremendous liability, and it would be a liability that the county would.
Well, let me ask, do you all know these ladies? Do any of y'all know them?
I know.
I'm sorry. Now I want to hear you.
No,
No? Okay. Harry, do you know these?
I don't know them personally. I'm familiar with Shamrock, and I do believe they're a wonderful organization. And I would trust, well, I just talked to you about the little dog my friend had. Oh gosh, well, it's actually a big golden doodle. Labradoodle or golden doodle. And Angels. This last weekend. Yeah, Marcy.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you not remember that dog? It was just this past weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's adopted.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am very
Yes.
familiar with that. But personally, no, I do not.
We're the second oldest 501
Mm-hmm.
in Louisville. I'm really not sure how the dogs are getting pulled and coming out of that facility if they're not being pulled by a 501, because you need to have that backing behind you to be able to vet the dogs. So to pull and to bring dogs out of there to take to find them homes or in our world, that's everything is.
Mr. Ross has a question.
Yes.
You all work with all breeds?
Yes, we are an all-breed rescue. Yes, spay, neuter, overpopulation,
Some of them don't have anything to do with pit bulls, that's one of those.
all breed. Yes, we are not breed specific. Dogs and cats. We get them when they've been shot, we get them when they've been a leg severed. We get those phone calls 24/7, all night long. 7 telephone lines, countless emails. You don't even want to know. We're the second oldest in Louisville.
Let me ask you, how long you say have you been doing out there?
20 minutes?
No, that would be, Isabel, that was back in the,
Oh,
I have gone out to Bullitt County, and I pull from all over the state. Probably for me out to Bullitt County, because I live in Oldham, so it's a hike for me. So we would try to get another member that were a little bit closer. I come out about 3 years probably.
3 years?
Mm-hmm.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, where you say it is from when you first met this, or went to the facility, to where it is right now, where would you rate it at right now?
I could not assign a number, honestly. I can tell you that it is better than what it has been in the past. It is better than what it has been. And I had the conversation with Angie over the weekend. Now, I'm just gonna, and I think I had this just to kind of a visual. If 20 years ago, you were living in, as a destination, but you wanted to live in heaven, then right now you're in purgatory. So you're not down here, you're climbing, you've made some progress, but you have some more progress to go to get to where you need to be, but you're not going to get there without help. If you have a whole lot of dissension among the ranks and just stuff, you know, a lot of disagreeing and nobody getting along and a lot of talking, that gets nowhere but bad talking. So you're never going to go forward if you're driving that way, but you're looking in your rearview mirror the whole time. If you want to drive, then you start driving and you stop staring in the rearview mirror and you move on. Because you can't fix anything back there. But if the community first has to get behind it as a large and be supportive, and this court is going to have to allocate some funds and retrofit that trailer into a spay-neuter facility. It is a nice thing that could be. Are you going to get a vet to donate that time? Probably not. But you can get a grant writer to write grants for a salary. You find you a hungry vet, come out of vet school, even if they give you a few years while they're building, that's more than you had before. But you spay and neuter, those people can come in to that shelter, never go to the back. There's your liability. Bring the dog out to them, one at a time. I've never been in a shelter. Now, I can go in the back because I'm liability and 501 and insurance and, you know, all that stuff. But as just volunteering, no, that's off the charts, you know, waiting to happen. But you need, yeah, it just needs some assistance. Assistance. We have offered. We have offered with forms. Oh, Ms. Frisk does all of our forms, and they're unbelievable. Angie, you got one. Courtesy of Ms. Frisk. But we had a dog that was in there to be pulled, a pair, a mother, son, and they had been pulled for rescue, 501, financial and medical backing behind them, and what's the little, I don't know, who shared? They had been flagged for Shamrock and had the thing on them, and we were taking the bonded pair and split them up, took the little boy out, and he went to a friend of yours.
Yeah, it was, she came in there looking at the dogs, she wanted, his name was Bam Bam, and tell me a dog's talked to Tony, and it was never mentioned about Shamrock. I had no clue
Okay.
what was going on. I was actually walking dogs during the time. And he had dogged the dog out. So I get a call, I think it's the day after, was it the day after he called? The day after he told me and asked me to see if I would talk to her about it, and I said, yeah, I'll talk to her. She said, well, give me a couple days, see how it goes. I ended up calling, like a week later, I think. Yeah, and she ended up coming and picking up the dog.
And she ended up what?
She ended up meeting up with my cousin's girlfriend and got the dog back.
Okay.
I think that, do they have a 3-month-old or something, a baby or what? No. Okay. Okay. We don't adopt out when they have young children. And we don't, for a liability issue, that if you put a dog that's been in a shelter, and Lord knows where before that, in what environment, and then you take it into a home with a crying, screaming baby that's potentially up all night, you put a dog nervous breakdown, and you set it up for failure. So, is it potentially nippy with somebody? Yes, it can. Does it come back to us? Yes. On bonded pair, we don't split them, we don't adopt out. The bonded pair stays a bonded pair. That's it. But,
I was gonna say, you said that the last 2 or 3 days you've been in discussions with Mark
with Mark, with local vets, with Shamrock.
to help us, to show us.
It's called procedural issues,
Well, I think
yes.
that's probably where if we,
Our protocol
Yes, that's
is
where we
very,
need to
very
be.
different. Our fostering system,
I
our,
like your liability situation. Up here is our job is liability of the county.
yes.
I like the way you look and you really, you really look out for your company. Liability.
It's all volunteer. There's nothing breakable about us. We are strictly, we have, I do believe, a good reputation, probably one of
Yeah, I
the
think
best, if not the
I
best in Louisville.
think pretty much one of your adoptions of, Reckless, I think
That was kind of a lot
Lot
of
of
rescues.
That's pretty-
Now, when you say come up to Tractor Supply to, an individual should never go into a situation like that for adoption, because why does an individual have adoptable animals? Why would they not be adoptable through a 501? Because if you're an individual, how are you vetting all those animals? Are you sending them out into the community? Because then they come to us to get vetted and up to date on everything.
Makes a lot of sense to us.
But I don't
Structure.
think it's, yes, I think it's fair to give Mark a chance to defend himself. I don't know, I don't think, not my place, that this all happened in the last, short period of time. This has been years in the making that it got to where, but do I see it moving in a different? I see effort, yes. He works with us well. That's all I can attest to,
Right.
is he works with us very well. He is cooperative every time we ask. Now, I personally would say that them not being on Facebook is a detriment to the animals, that they cannot post them. Now, I think that there, this is my personal opinion, don't make any comments, period. You can see the difference, don't get into this stuff, there's nothing good ever came out of that. So if there's a lot of zip lipping and more hands, if you can't go this way,
then put your ear to the ground and find out where the dog fighting's going on. So if you can't do it in one way, do it in another form, because both of those are existing. And the shelter is because a lot of that feeds into there. And I'm gonna tell you about euthanizing, and Angie and I agree on this. There is no such thing as no kill. They ship them out and move them someplace else. There are animals that cannot go into, you would not want with your children or your grandchildren. It's just, it's a fact, it's what it is. You would never take the risk. You don't want the liability. So, to think that you're never going to euthanize is unrealistic. When he goes out on a pickup and there's an animal that's injured on the side of the road, and it's, you know, guts out or whatever, for lack of something better, you gotta do that quickly, so it does not suffer. And a suffering animal is a mad, angry animal, and those little bitty teeth get bigger. So, it's not a good thing.
So I'm looking, you know, I heard that she said first of the year.
We offered to help with some protocol procedural things, with some forms to get him updated, with maybe a little bit more aligned, because on our volunteer fostering stuff, our forms and whatnot, we're very thorough and we have to be that way, because every dollar we have has to go into funding. I don't know how many counties and how many shelters and how many individuals. So it has to stretch a long way.
Do you have any cards or any websites that if someone wanted to donate to your cause, they could?
Shamrock Foundation.
Shamrock Foundation. Is it .com?
Yes. You can, yes.
Shamrock.
You can also call us and we'll
Take it.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
We've got one more person to speak, Ms. Frisk and Ms. Robertson. Thank you all so much for coming in. And this is what I got from you all, that, now, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Frisk and Ms. Robertson. Robertson. I got Robertson. I got that.
Oh, that's
Robinson.
S-T-O-T-T-S.
Okay, it was written as Robertson.
S-T-O-T-T-S hyphen Robinson.
Robinson, okay. This is what I heard from you all, that that Shamrock Foundation has been working with the shelter for 20+ years.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
The Shamrock
Back in the days
Foundation
when they were
has.
shooting and drowning and gassing.
Well, you just now took the second sentence in my mouth. You said that our shelter has gone beyond the drowning and shooting of animals.
Yes.
Well, since I've been judge executive, and that was in 2007 when I took the rank when I was there, but was elected, there had better not be any drowning or shooting of any type of animal, because that is completely inhumane, in my opinion. Now, what I want to see is, if you all can work with these folks, and Desmond, let you speak just a second before the list, and y'all, whoever else you can speak. I want to see you all working together to get our shelter up to par, well, to get our shelter into the 21st century. It hasn't been, if you all been working with us for 20+ years, we're still, and I'm not saying it's your
You're way
fault.
better than what you were.
Yes, but, as I said earlier, I've been here for 10 years, we still don't have a spay neuter.
You need a spay neuter. That's not our job. We're spaying and neutering for you. We're funding you all.
I completely agree.
So what's in your tip is not enough to do it. We don't run it on what the budget is for all the, we can't do all the counties we do and all the,
Sure.
when the puppies are coming and and vets have to stay after hours or come back in for emergency surgery. you know, for a C-section for a dog that was pregnant and came into the shelter. So
Well,
there's only so much to go around.
sure, oh, I understand.
Yeah,
Please
but you all need a
understand.
grant writer, a professional grant writer, because that would do you a world of good.
But once the money is here, if the court does not want to see it spent in the way that some of these folks want to see it spent, then it's not going to happen.
But you can use it other ways too.
Huh?
There's other stuff that the counties can get out of a grant writer.
Oh, yes, oh,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's not just what
You
shelter.
can get
Yeah, I
water,
agree
you
with
can
that.
get food, you can get
Homeless people,
Oh, you're preaching to the choir with me, you all.
Yes, you use the same grant writers for everything, except the school system.
Well, I
They already get that part.
Well, yes, I understand, but I'm telling you, if the money is in the coffers, it may not be spent the way you want to see it spent.
Then don't put it in your general fund.
How do you stop it, Ms.
Is your,
Ms. Robbins?
is your funds right now, the funds right now that come out from whatever fees are generated at the shelter, which are nominal, what are they?
Yeah,
$10 or something?
yeah.
You know,
I've been told for 10 years it has to be in the general fund.
It does not.
It does
But I've
not.
been
You can change
told-
that. You
I
can change that.
cannot change that by myself. I'm one vote.
How can we do it? You tell us how many
Well,
votes.
how many votes do you need?
I need 3. There's 5 of us up here, you need 3. I've been fighting that fight for 10 years.
No, you all don't
need
use under duress and pressure, you talk amongst yourself and have this privately, that's not an open.
So I'm trying to tell you all, nothing's going to happen unless you have the votes on this board. You all know, there's, you all got to
But she's very can't do anything like that. She has to have 3 of those, 2 of those.
Right, but it's not something that should be done privately. This is a public matter, and the shelter and the vote should be done public.
I'll finish that up, I want to do that.
Me?
Melanie, I'm sorry, Judge Roberts, I think because it is the animal shelter and
Stand up.
because it's the animal shelter and everybody is at arms, disagreeing and agreeing, then the vote should be public. You all should vote, but it should be open so we can hear the vote.
Oh, we
She
should.
said it needs to be private.
Public. No, I think they can have a conversation amongst themselves. I don't
They
even
can,
know
you
all
can't
their
even have a meeting,
conversation,
Melanie,
but they can wait
the
for
forum
us
unless it's public meeting, correct?
Yeah, we cannot do any voting in behind closed doors.
Okay, thank you.
Well, now, it depends on who. I won't allow it, and I'll walk out if that happens. I would like for session. But I'm one vote, remember?
Well,
But one vote's important.
your funds, all, if they're coming out of a general fund right now, they have to be allocated a lot of different ways.
Sure.
Which is why his budget is very nominal. So, you all would have to discuss that amongst yourself.
Be up to the court to decide how much money to put in that
Yes,
budget. Right.
yes,
Oh,
yes. But don't take it away from it either. If he has adoptions, or if he has a quarterly vaccination day where you're gonna come and get your yearly vaccinations for a discounted, rate, then don't take that away and put that back in your general fund.
thank you all so much for being here. Go all in. Oh, yes, recap. Okay, well, I kind of already said it though. Again, y'all with the Shamrock Foundation, Shamrock has been working with the Bullitt County Animal Shelter for 20+ years. We are beyond the shooting and the drowning, which we've been done already. But you all are suggesting that we need a grant writer, and you have a good relationship with Director Williams, and you all are going to assist in January with specifically what?
Try to facilitate with him a fostering program, but ours is not one where we just put a dog in any home. That person has to be vetted. And, you know, it's a process of things. It's not an overnight, just bring a dog out and
I'm going to take this dog to my friend's going to adopt it. None of that ever happens with us. Yes, we have references and checks and, you know, it takes more than one, not one person alone on ours can do anything. You always have to have two on board in agreement, just like you all saying, you have to have a quorum. Okay, we have to have as well.
Right. Okay, so the fostering program, you want to assist Director
We have offered
that.
We have offered to help. We have offered to help him with paperwork and to bring his forms into, not at what our level is, because it's, you know, it's proportionally, you know, apples and oranges.
Sure.
But what would get him? Now, I would address the liability things right off the top. That's something you never want to hang around. That's an anchor around your neck. If you want to liken it to Metro, nobody ever goes through the doors of Metro. Nobody ever goes to the back where the animals are.
That's not true.
Okay, I do, I will say. And it takes a while to establish that rapport with them. That's not, you just don't walk in. Unless you're hunting for a lost dog. If you have a lost dog file, then you may look for your lost dog.
Okay, well, may I suggest this to the court members? How about Ms. Frisk and Ms. Robinson speaking with Director Williams about the liability issue and bringing it to court? The three of you all could possibly bring it to court in January. Is that feasible?
If there's no snow. I'm not driving from Old County if there's snow.
But Judge, if there's not gonna be anybody allowed in there besides the employees, then that's gonna knock all the volunteers out.
Right.
And that's free help.
Right, oh, I got you.
You know, and
Nobody
signed
negates that
waivers.
you need free.
I signed a waiver when we do need free help.
You do need free, but nobody negates that you do need free help.
We need somebody out there that can respect the community. That man has no respect for us.
We don't have that kind of working relationship with him, so,
There's a difference of opinion here.
yeah, we,
Let's go.
you know, have respect, and I guess he respects us in turn, because,
Well, that might be, that, I'm not down on that at all, but I can tell you, he has zero respect for me, and I've never been anything nice to me.
now, there are only so many within the Shamrock. Not just anybody can walk in and pull a dog. I mean, it has to be like we have to have approval before we do, because we know when we pull that dog out, there's got to be vetting associated. So that's a commitment of funds right off the top.
Okay, let me mention something.
Sure.
In the foster application, it says that he will do random checks and he will call them in. He has never once came to my house or anything like that.
Okay.
Granted, I have a fenced-in yard, I have the house taken care of, but still he didn't even make an effort to check on the dog I have.
Gotcha. But, yes, Ms. Frisk?
I might just throw out there that it's very possible that you might need to hire another employee to help out there. And then some of these holes that are happening
Hire
can be
another
filled.
staff member,
Yes.
and we do have that vacancy, but we are looking for someone.
I think we have a part-time vacancy there.
It's awful hard to find anybody who wants to do it.
It's a hard job, and not a lot of people would like to do it. It's not pretty.
Okay, yes, ma'am. What is your name?
Meredith Hoover Ward.
Okay, go ahead, Meredith. I know I've met you before. Go ahead.
People,
Do you mind standing up again? I didn't see you. Thank you, Meredith.
people don't want to take a position out there or volunteer because of the way he treats people. And I know this because I've had personal dealings with him myself. He is rude, he is condescending, he talks to people like they are dirt beneath his feet. I've seen him, he's done it to me, he's done it to Sherry, he's done it to Kelly, he's done it to Terry, he's done it to Dulcie, and multiple other community members. And if you are going to be an employee of the county, you cannot treat the community members that
Meredith.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Delcy, go ahead, yeah. And even though Delsey's the last one who signed up, I'm still not finished with Kelly. Are you Kelly?
Yes,
Okay.
I want to say,
I'm sorry, Delsey, do you want to say anything too after Delsey gets finished? Maybe so?
Maybe.
Maybe, okay. All right, Ms.
I'm
Williams,
just trying to make it short and sweet.
good evening. Okay.
Good evening. First I'd like to clear up a few things. The trailer that's set out there by the shelter was first put out there for EMS. Once EMS evacuated that building, it had been brought up with Helper Pets to turn that into a spay neuter clinic. It was shot down by the previous director. Second thing, the page that you were talking about, the Bullitt report page about the adoption fees, that was established by probably around 2002, 2003, when Nancy Barnes still worked at the shelter, because we had the Shelbyville Animal Control was coming out, and they were doing our spays and neuters at the shelter, and they were giving us a discount fee on the charges, and all the animals were spayed, neutered, currently on vaccinations. Then they were put in adoption. Once Nancy was no longer employed, Shelby County quit coming out and giving us that service, but that was never updated because from my understanding, Nancy was the one in charge of putting that up on the shelter's page on the fiscal report, how it was done. But I'm not exactly sure how that works, but Nancy was in charge of that and never got changed. So it has been like that for over 2 years. I did point that out to the previous administration as well, and it did not change it. Next thing I want to point out, in the employee handbook, I want to read this motion. Under principles of behavior, it says, it is expected that an employee shall be mindful of the following principles in his or her conduct and behavior. Violation of these principles may constitute grounds for disciplinary action. This list is not intended to be all-inclusive. First one, 14.1, an employee in conducting business in the Bullitt County Fiscal Court shall deal with coworkers and the public in a respectful and courteous manner and act in a manner consistent with the trust inherent in public employment. Now, from what people have said today, that is not the way our current director is handling himself with volunteers and the public. And I still have a lot of people calling me about the way Mark treats them when they have a call, come out, or pit bull running loose over on Halls Lane. I'm sure a lot of you all have heard from that. I know Mr. Woolers and Ms. Hallford will talk out from you about that pit bull. She calls me about it. There was also another incident yesterday or within the past week with Brittany Arnell and her dog getting picked up, or boyfriend actually had to put the dog in the truck for her. And that was a big accident with their dog in. Couldn't find the dog and was going to later down the dog. But he was very rude to her and actually threatened her boyfriend. You will get an email on that one from Ms. Arnell. But that is not.
Will the entire board get the email?
I believe you are getting an email.
Have I made it clear that I'm one vote?
You might have to forward it out, because this is posted on Facebook. And the dog actually had to be gave to Mark.
Out of their backyard.
The situation was this, Mr. Judge Marshall.
No, you're okay, but do you all understand you've got to communicate with these 4 magistrates?
We do, but the community doesn't know that. It's not getting out to the community because your emails are not out there.
We are not. And I told them that in your space speaking would help with that.
Oh, yes, we're really ready to speak.
Yeah, and hopefully with just those of us that have gotten parents spoke about the things that's going on, you all will listen and understand where we're coming from, and maybe that will help you all when you vote does come up, if a vote comes up on how to deal with what's going on in the show. Because we are very adamant about the animals in Bullitt County, and definitely about how we're treated by the people that wear a badge or that draw paychecks in the system court. So now, after reading the principles of behavior to you all about how you should not treat your coworkers or the public, the next page over is reasons for discipline. An employee may be disciplined when he or she violates principles of behavior, personnel policies, or in any way seriously impairs the work of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court. Disciplinary action may be used to instruct an employee about his or her behavior and the consequences of continued performance that is less than desirable. In the event of disciplinary action not taken in a particular incident, it shall not be construed as a waiver of disciplinary action in the future or the evidence of similar conduct. Now, from what I'm reading on here, things that they have said that Mark has done falls under that behavioral category, which then falls over to the disciplinary category, and I cannot understand, from my point, how you all can continue to let someone that treats the volunteers and treats the public that voted you all in and pays the taxes to this county, how you all can continue to allow a man who treats us like that to still be holding a job and still be receiving his paycheck from our tax dollars.
Ma'am, someone here to defend herself. Seems like there's a lot of big personalities here. These two women out here said they don't have any problems with it.
That's because their money is paying, and Mark doesn't have to take it out of his account to pay, somebody else's
I was
money is
gonna
paying
say
for
that.
that.
Well,
Exactly.
it
There's
seems
still
like there's
been-
a lot of big personalities causing this, because again, these ladies here said there's no problems with this.
I'm
Are
gonna
you
need you to
mad,
calm down for a
ma'am?
minute. Just-
I can't address it, you can stand up 18 times and speak out, and then I can't say nothing without you getting upset.
Because you just made a comment that was way out of line. You said the big personalities were causing the issue.
Did I say, does Mark have a big personality? Probably so. You guys, I can tell, have big personalities. You can stand up and speak for yourself. You can go in and do stuff. That's called a big personality. These ladies over here have big personalities. That is my opinion. You can take it for what you like it. But I promise you, this is the problem here.
Mark had every opportunity, just like we did, to be here tonight. I canceled my plans for the evening to be here. There's doctor appointments and
I can't speak for Mark.
And he had every opportunity to be here to defend himself.
I took off work to be here.
Well, I apologize. I won't speak no more.
Now, the next thing I wanted to address was the ladies from Sharon. Love your group, you all do great things for the community. I've worked with you all probably for 10 or 15 years, and worked with you all when you all come out pulling cats from the shelter when I was still employed there. There is a difference when you're running a shelter versus running a 501c3. Shelter is county funded, 501c3 is either with grants or with donations. They can govern and rule a little different than what a county run shelter can. They can tell their volunteers, you know, they can vet them, they can approve their home, they can do whatever, which the county can too. They can have liability insurance to cover the volunteers. The county can too. There is actually liability insurance for volunteers that work at a shelter, and it costs a minimum of nothing per year. I checked into it when I was still volunteering at the shelter before I was ever hired there. As far as working with Mark being wonderful to you all, yes, he probably is, because you all are doing him a favor by taking the pets out of there. You're not bucking the system and going in and asking him, how is this cat sick and this cat hasn't been treated? What's probably happening is one of the volunteers are calling and saying, we've got this sick cat at the shelter, can you all help us with it? And you all are saying, yes, can you get it to the vet? Well, you're automatically taking over the medical of that cat. Mark is going to be tickled off. He's not going to give you all grief over that cat or anything else. The more you take from his shelter, the less he has to deal with. And it's not just Mark, it's any director. So any director of an animal shelter that wants to cause a rift with a rescue is not thinking clearly. Because that is one thing that you do not want to break that bond with, is a rescue group that is willing to pull from you.
That is true.
So I can understand why Mark is the utmost respect. for you.
I'll tell you that I think you'd probably be surprised at what level we hold his feet to the fire with us, because we do ask very pointed, exact questions that there's no wiggle room.
Right.
We're used to asking those questions
Right.
that way and rewording them a different way because of working so many application process. You'd be surprised what you say it, change the wording a little bit and the red flags start to go up.
Right.
Whereas if I ask somebody if they have a fence, they might tell me yes. Oh, I have a fence across one side. Oh, did you mean all four sides? Like that, you know.
Right.
It's all in the wording.
And probably that adoption application is not something that a county-run shelter could ever do.
No.
But as far as you had mentioned something about a 501c and the way that they run their operation, their adoptions and this, that, and other, that's true. But a 501c3 it's a piece of paper. And it says that you can use your donations as a tax deduction. Now, it helps make you a little bit more legit because you have a 501c3. But I did rescue work for 12 years, and I never had a 501c3. I actually received an award from Shamrock, about all the transports that I was doing from the Bullitt County Shelter, taking them to no-kill rescues. I was not looked at any differently because I didn't have a 501c3. But I had shelters, I was more of a halfway house that housed the dogs until
they could get to another group that was a 501c3. There are groups out there that definitely need to be checked into before you let them pull a dog, because anybody can say they're a rescue and they're not. But if you check them out, like the director should, before letting this dog go to anyone that comes in and says they're a rescue, those dogs are probably safer and will probably get the bedding and the space and the neuters that they need to be. As far as the grant writing, Hope for Pets used to write grants for our county. They received $2,500 and the courthouse, fiscal court matched the $2,500 grant. And they were spaying and neutering the pets in Bullitt County. For some reason, that's no longer a thing. That doesn't get done anymore. I'm not exactly sure why, maybe somebody from fiscal court can answer that one, but that's no longer an option. But Hope for Pets did offer to work with Mark with the equipment that they had, because they no longer do spays and neuters. They offered to work with Mark and the equipment that they had to do spays and neuters in that trailer beside of the shelter, and it was shot down and was never brought again. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
Well, I can't take it back. I mean, you said Shelby County used to help.
Shelby County used to help, but they don't anymore.
Could somebody ask them to do it again?
They could attempt to do it, and,
They're pretty much a train wreck
there was,
now.
I don't know how to properly say it, with disaccord when they left Bullitt County. So I don't know if they'll be willing to come back out or not.
And does county employees, do they have to file an official complaint when they have a complaint with their boss or their superior? Do they file a complaint?
I'm probably not the one to ask that, and I will let them answer that one.
You know, do you have a paper you have to file so that you all would be aware of there's a problem? Is there any, I don't know.
I would say there's a complaint.
Are you saying if an employee has a complaint about their director?
Well, it sounded like somebody had a complaint in there, and I just wonder if they
Yes.
filed.
We have a grievance process.
Oh.
It's listed in the handbook exactly how you need to do it.
That's on page 31.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes.
Because, I mean, really, we do want to solve these problems, don't we?
Yes, I do. Yeah, that's two things I would vote on. One, do we keep the current director or get somebody in there who's not friends with people on fiscal court, and somebody that actually has a background in animal control and animal care and knows when a dog's sick around here? And then the second thing was the spay neuter. Do we vote to go ahead and spay neuter an animal before it goes out for adoption? So those two things I definitely think we need to vote on.
Don't let me forget those two things, Elsie. Don't let me forget those two things you just said.
Yes, ma'am.
Before we adjourn, please. Kelly, you want to say anything? You've been so good about sitting back there. You've got, come on. Do you mind coming up here? You want to stay there?
I'd like to stay here.
You can stay
I
there.
really like speaking in front of people. I'd just like to say my name's Kelly Byers. I've been doing rescue work in Bullitt County for going on 8 years now. I do not have my 501c3, but I have pulled from the animal shelter, transported to other rescuers out in Louisville, and I have personally, out of my own pocket, spayed and neutered more than 34 animals. Out of my own pocket. I do not take funding from anybody else, nor ask for any donations. I am working on getting my 501c3. My husband is an accountant, so I will be able to do that cheaper than most. I have not gotten my 501c3 because it is illegal to use it for your own gain. I work at a vet clinic also as a second job. I've been there for 5 years. That's how I can afford to spay and neuter everything I have. I have also taken in animals, including pit bulls, went through the protocol that the shelter does, 7-day stray hold, posted signs all around the area, held the animal for 7 days, had it completely vetted out of my own pocket, and placed them animals in homes. And I never have asked for a dime. I do background checks, vet references, and I do home visits. I placed a pit bull about 2 or 3 months ago and drove that dog over an hour to its new home. After I had vet references and I did a home visit. I require a fenced-in backyard. If the dog's not suitable to be around other pets or other children, it does not go there. When Mark came into the shelter, I went and introduced myself to him, was willing to help to get animals out of that shelter. And he quote unquote told me, I am not a rescuer because I do not have a 501c3. That does not clarify or make you a rescuer. It is simply a tax write-off. I've been doing this for 8 years. I also assisted on a dog that was loose for about a week across from the flea market. I caught a dog in 2 hours that Mark couldn't catch in a week. 2 hours out in the winter. And Mark and I had words over that. And I turned the dog over to Mark. That's when he told me that I was not a rescuer because I don't have a 501c3. I've been doing it for 8 years. I'm pretty damn good at what I do. And I also live in Bullitt County. And everything I have spayed and neutered, like I said, I've got more than 34 animals that I have had bedded. Shots, neutered, spayed. Some of them live with me, some of them don't. But I've done it all out of my own pocket, without a 501c3. And Mark hasn't treated me nice at all, even when I offered to help at the shelter and get animals out so they didn't have to be euthanized. He wasn't very nice to me at all, and I haven't been back to the shelter since. I have my own website on Facebook, so I work outside of the shelter and do what I can for the animals in the county outside of the shelter. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for doing what you've done for the animals. You can clap, you can clap, Angela. Well, I will sit back because I will sit back and let you all talk to the magistrates. How's that sound?
I have a question.
Yes, Sherry.
I want to know why, I sent several emails, I addressed everybody in the emails. Only one person has spoke to me about my emails, and that's Mr. Gary Lawson. I called you, Mr. Dennis, and you told me you were not going to talk to me about Mark, and was very short with me about the phone. Called and I left a voicemail with you, Mr. Rayhill. I never received a call back from you. The last call I called your cell phone too, and I never received a call back from you. Gary Wilson's the only one that calls me back. He's the only one that answers my calls when I call.
Go Gary. Thank you, Gary.
When I spoke to Mr. Mitchell, I was asked to speak to all the magistrates at one time. And I think as a tax-paying citizen, it's my prerogative if I want to write to each one of them every single day. I shouldn't have to speak to them. You know, I work a full-time job. I can't come to these fiscal court meetings every month. If this hadn't been at 9 o'clock this morning, there's no way I could have been here. Unless I were taken off from work, and I've missed a lot of work lately with the grandbaby, so it's hard to miss for. It's hard to justify to the mayor that I need to be off from work for an animal. He's not as passionate about as I am. So I think you guys were elected, and you have your emails and you have your cell phone numbers on the website. I think it is your duty to take those calls, no matter what time we come. You're public servants, and Mr. Lawson, I appreciate your time. You were very nice.
Do we have any more court business? Make a motion, we adjourn.
Well, I disagree.
No.
A motion on the floor.
But this is, we gotta do, Robbie's done a good presentation. And I disagree with adjourning right now. We've got issues that need to be resolved.
We're not gonna be resolved tonight.
And this is not a way to resolve issues.
Thank you. I just want to know why the emails weren't being addressed. Why is nobody calling us back on the emails at all? I mean, I'm a volunteer. I'm driving over 30 minutes a day there. I don't even live in Bullitt County. I don't. I drive to Bullitt County to volunteer at your shelter because nobody else will volunteer. And after time of being disrespected and talked to and belittled, I still came back to that shelter. Still came back. And still pulled animals from there. And took animals to the vet and stuff. I just wanna know why I'm not getting the respect and getting the calls back from Mr. Rayhill, Mr. Laswell, and why I can't talk to you about Mark, Mr. Mitchell. I mean, if I call you and I'm talking to you about someone that's underneath you, then I should be able, you should hear my complaint. You should listen to me. It shouldn't just be one magistrate listening to what I'm saying and actually taking the time to listen to my whole conversation. There's 3 other ones that won't listen to me. And I don't understand that.
Can I give you my perspective on that?
Sure, another guy came wrong with it.
Oh, yeah. My perspective.
You got a motion on the floor.
Well, Rocky's got to speak, Joey.
Well, let Rocky speak.
No, I want Elsie to.
This has been going on and on and on. Everybody's had a chance to speak. Everybody's had a chance to speak.
But they're not done speaking, why are you?
It is, because he's a magistrate and doesn't want to listen.
There's I have one comment.
You wanna adjourn.
Sharon, here's my perspective. Mitchell and Mark are friends.
I know, you forwarded my email to him.
Joe and Ray Hill are friends. That's why you need to respect.
But I want
That's
someone
my
to
perspective on it.
tell
I
me
could
that.
be wrong.
I wanted y'all to
But
personally.
Thank you.
Judge Roberts, are you aware of that? That emails
let
and
this go on?
complaints that are being sent to the magistrates are
Really?
being forwarded?
I'm sorry, excuse me, yes,
I mean, are you gonna let this outrage go on in here?
Meredith, please.
This is unreal.
Please proceed, Meredith.
Are you aware that complaints and emails that are being sent to the magistrates are being forwarded to Mark from Mr. Rayhill and from Mr. Richard?
And then he's calling the people that sent the complaint.
Mitchell has never
And
sent an
he
email
is-
in my lifetime.
He said specifically it was you that you need to address with Mark.
Rocky, I
Because
apologize.
He called
Right.
one of the people that's in my complaint.
I apologize to everybody in here for this outrage.
Badgered him, badgered him. That
She's speaking out
guy
of
is
order.
gone out of it. He's had
You're out of
cancer, he is in treatment, he adopted 2 cats from there. And for him to get a call from Mark and get disrespected like he did, that is uncalled for. And I did email you about it. And I'll be darned if he doesn't call the guy and complain to him. He pulled his adoption form and called him. That is unreal. The guy is so terrified he won't come in the shelter. Miss Roberts was up there, she had to come outside to speak to him. He's scared to death to go in front of Mark because of the things that Mark said to him. You all aren't understanding how he talks to people. How many times I didn't want to come back. And then finally, he's winning because I'm not going back up there. He's won. It's for the animals. That's what the shelter's for, is the animals. He's won. I'm not coming back. I can't go with him. I'm not going to sit back and watch animals get abused. Not going to do it. And it is crazy that y'all will allow the director to be in that position that it's okay with abusing animals. Maybe I need to go to the news with everything I have. Maybe that's what I need to do. And so when I leave from here, I'm going to contact them because I'm friends with them on Facebook. And I'm going to let them know everything that's going on. And I'm going to give them the names of the ones that are against, that are friends and against it. That's what I'm going to do.
And
Y'all have a great night.
You
I
can't
got to drive back
this
to
is the first you've heard of this, because I've talked to you and emailed you multiple times. This is not news. This is an
I didn't say it was
ongoing thing.
news. I just said that.
No, you
And
just don't care.
if you would answer these people in their phone calls and their emails, it wouldn't come to a head like this. You can't just sit back and act like you live in a cave. You are an elected county official, a public servant.
So what you
Not
thinking is you
you're a
get
servant.
5 or 6 people come up here and bitch?
Language? Excuse me,
You don't just get up
that's
there and
really
just scream and
professional.
holler?
Nobody was bitching. We were voicing our concerns for a helpless creature. And you stood up there and prayed tonight.
And then you.
How dare you? How dare you? I pray for those animals every single day. Every single day.
And now you're
And
sitting
you
back
have
and
the
stuck
audacity to stand up there and ask, oh, you make me want to vomit.
Thank you. Yes.
You are absolutely the lowest form of life of anybody I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you.
And Melanie, I am so sorry that I lost my temper and my composure, but there is no excuse for his behavior. And he has disrespected you tonight in this meeting.
I apologize.
You know what?
Judge Roberts?
I don't know what district you represent. I don't care, but thank God you're not mine. I thought Mr. Laswell was, I wasn't a fan there either. But you know what, Joe? You
There's a
better do
motion on
this.
the floor to
Adjourn.
Motion to let Rocky talk.
Are you done?
No.
Rocky, if you want to talk, you
Mr.
go ahead.
Rayfield, Mr. Rayfield, let me remind you that the people have elected me to be the judge executive, and I do conduct these meetings, so.
And I'm
Thank you,
voting.
Marilyn. As we proceed, then we will let those of you speak. Yes, Ms. Meredith.
What are your feelings on his disrespect tonight?
Ms. Meredith, every now and then there's what's called an election. We just had one in November.
And you can vote.
So
Why didn't you?
I choose to let the people choose. So in the next election, and the coming elections, the people have a voice and they will choose who they want. Again, we just had an election.
Fair enough.
May 8th. Mr. Rocky, can we help? Come on, this is about the planning and zoning administrator.
Thank you, Judge Magistrates. I'll be short and sweet. I'm the junior commissioner on the planning and zoning. We need help over there. We haven't had an administrator. We had a temporary one who was retiring. Did as much a job as he could, but was, like the rest of us, wasn't educated and knowing what all is needed for planning and zoning. We've got 2 new employees over there. Both of them were hired this year, one in March and one in August. And they're running the building over there, planning and zoning for the county. So we really need somebody that's knowledgeable, experienced with planning and zoning, educated in it, and we really need some help over there, and that's all I've come for tonight. The commissioners can sit over there and talk and say we need help, but somebody needs to come over here and let you all know, go on record that we are requesting the search to continue or reopen the search, or whatever the case, to try to get a good administrator over there that can help the county. You know, some of these builders that come there, that's their first real acquaintance with the employees of the county government. And so we need to have somebody there that can answer their questions, don't have to get back with them, they know the answers in a timely manner, and we really need some help there. I don't know if Daryl's still here, appreciate what he's done the last couple of months to keep it going over there. But he's retired also, wants to come in here when he needs, when the women call him in there to help, he shows up and helps. We really appreciate that, but just asking for some looking out for getting, try to get his administrator over there as soon as you possibly can. Appreciate your time.
Any questions for Mr. Camino?
Is there any way we can contract it, have to get caught up to another firm?
I guess that's something you all have to,
No, that's not a contract job, it's not like a building inspector or code officer. You need a person who will be there each day and will run the planning commission. And you don't have one there. I will tell the court that Mr. Lee, he's already left, but Mr. Lee is going to be leaving for Florida probably in about 2 weeks. And at that point, you will have somebody that will be able to decide a plan or do any type of work over there unless you can get Mr. Watkins to come in. And Mr. Watkins is on disability, and I don't know how much time he'll have to develop or to devote for this.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Camino. I know I asked Chelsea to remind me of the 2 things you said. I think you all see what is going on. I think you know what you all need to do.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate you all being here. I know some of us have left. This is the way we have to get, this is the way to get things accomplished. I know it's sometimes painful, but it's so, I appreciate so much you all being here and expressing your viewpoints.
But I'm not understanding that, forgive me. If we're sending emails and we're filing,
That's right, you had that question.
if we're filing complaints, and you said this is the process, but it's not getting handled, where are we going from there?
And Meredith, you said that the emails, repeat that again, what you said a few minutes ago.
Sherry has sent emails to the magistrates in regards to Mark and his attitude and the way he treats the county and the members and the public. And she has proof that those emails were forwarded from Mr. Mitchell to Mark.
Okay.
That's a blatant lie because Dennis Mitchell has never not one time in my entire life ever sent an email to anyone. Nowhere in this world. I received it, but I have never sent one. Never, never.
So then if they send you an email, they can honestly expect no reply.
I read it.
But they get no reply, then.
No, I'm not addressing. I said,
Okay, that's my question.
Okay, if you're not going to reply, why are you, magistrate?
I agree.
If you're not going to reply to the citizens when they email you a question, a concern, or a complaint, why are you, magistrate?
If I reply to them, I do it on the phone. I do not send no emails out to no one.
Terry says you don't return phone calls.
No, he returned my phone call.
He returned yours?
Yes, he
Okay,
returned
my
my phone
apologies.
See there?
He wanted, but he asked me to get with all the magistrates at one time instead of one at a time, which I don't want to go along with that. I should be, and I did. I called each one of them with the exception of Mr. Laswell, and I emailed him. And I've emailed all of them at different points. And most of the time when I do, even if I don't copy John in it, John seems to know about. And I usually copy Lisa and Melanie in anything that I send also. I think that's a good idea, because then nobody can say, well, I didn't get that email. Yeah, somebody got it.
So Meredith, are you understanding the process as to what has to happen in order for something to happen?
Yes, I'm trying to.
Okay.
I'm trying to, because the emails, we email those concerns, and then we have to come here to address it as well. Correct? Is that correct?
I'm only going to speak for myself.
Okay,
When
that's
I get phone calls, emails, texts, Twitter, whatever, I will respond to those. And I'll just speak for myself. Okay, any other questions? Okay. I'm not going to bring up those two things. I think that we can see where it's going to go if we do. And, so again, thank you. Thank you for speaking up.
Thank you
for allowing us to.
Yes, and thank you for being kind, Judge Roberts.
That's my job.
But we wish others were like that.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll already second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Mr. Reagan?
Yes.
Judge Roberts? Mr. Lawson?
Yeah.
Mr. Laswell?